Hi folks, this is Cheryl from Cheryl's Craft & Corner, and I want to show you this little card I made to give to a friend of mine. Her and her husband was kind enough to give me these leather scraps from their business, and I had seen them in their recycle bin, and I was excited to try to use them in different ways with scrapbooking and cards in my mini albums. So if you've seen my last couple videos, you've seen that I've used these leather pieces and run them through my Big Shot. Well, I did a couple different things this morning. I did ink them, and I was also able to punch the sentiment with my Stampin' Up! Punch. So let me take you through this card, and I'm going to make another one. The second card will be a little different than the first one. So what I did is I cut the cardstock down to 4 1/4 and folded it down so it's a I call it a taller card or a vertical card fold, and ink the edges with my color box inks. These, I like to use these because I can get good control, and I have a variety with them, and I like to do direct to paper. And the color I'm going to use on all the edges of the card is this brown. So while I'm at it, I'm going to also ink the back, and the inside. Okay, now I cut the inside down for the sentiment 4 by 4 1/4, excuse me, and I'm going to ink that as well. I'm going to distress the edges of the card. I like to also distress the sentiment portion. While I'm here, I think I'll adhere it to the card. Okay. So the next step I did is I'll be using these two stamp sets from Stampin' Up! This one is called Grateful and Always Thankful, excuse me. And I'm going to use the Grateful and the Sentiment. And the sentiment says there's always something for which to be thankful, and it's written by Charles Dickens. And then I'm going to be using this French foliage stamp set, and I'm going to just use this leaf here. And what I did is I used that as the backdrop behind the card and also on the inside. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to ink up using Old Olive from Stampin' Up! And just randomly stamp off the card. And it gives it more dimension if you stamp an image off the card. And let me do a couple more. And what I did on the inside, here, let me show you the inside of my other one. What I did on the inside is I lightly tapped the ink to the stamp just to give it a lighter image. You can do a second generation stamp image, and what that is you stamp off onto paper, and then whatever's left over on the ink, whatever ink is left over on the stamp image comes off. So I'm just going to do it lightly. That looks great. And I'm going to turn and do it again. There, I just gave a light impression. The inside sentiment, as I mentioned, is from the Always Thankful stamp set. So while I'm here, I might as well stamp that as well. There, my inside's complete. Okay, back to the cover. So What I'm going to do is ink this thin piece of leather and glue this here. And then what I did just to save time is I inked my bird, and I'll put some stamp dimensionals and also a little pearl eye for the bird, and that will go on that as well. And let me get a little pearl off for his eye, or her eye, right? I like to press down hard. Okay, there we go. Great. And I added I inked the wing and also added the dimensionals just to hopefully give it a little bit more depth. Okay. Okay, so my bird's ready to go as soon as I'm done with my inking of my little bird cage. Okay, so let me put the bird aside and show you how I ink and glue down this piece of leather. So what I did is I took my trusty brown and I just ran along the edges, and it picks up the color really well. And let me just continue down here. Now my other card, I cut this off because I wanted a different effect and also for the sentiment, so I'm going to see how it goes on this card. So let me add some ink here. And a little bit down here. Okay, for the sake of time, I think I'll stop right there. Okay, so I've been using this tacky glue from AC Moore. I mean, Ali makes it, other companies make it. I just happen to have this around, and it works well for my gluing of the leather to the cardstock. And I don't know if you have this Tim Holtz Sizzix die, but I really like it. I've done some mini albums with it. It's just a nice little accent. I couldn't wait to pick it up. Of course, when I saw it, I immediately had to have it. As well as the clock. I don't know if you've seen the vintage clock, but that's a fun one too. I did a mini album on that. Alright. Let me lay this down. Okay, so that will stick pretty quickly. And I'm going to put my bird right about here. And all I have left to do is my sentiment. So what I did is I wanted to see how the leather took to stamping, and it took really well. I used, again, my old olive. I used the Grateful sentiment, and then I wanted to see how it punched. So I took my oval punch, and just like cardstock, it punched awesome. So I was really, really thrilled. So I will mount this. On a labeled punch. Ink with my brown. And then use dimensionals to raise it off. Sorry, I was off frame. And let's see, I'll position this, I guess, down here in the corner. So there's my card. Well, hope you enjoyed it, and please have a great day, and please stop by Cheryl's Crafting Corner.